With me now is Nelba Marquez Green, the mother of 6-year-old Anna Grace, who was killed in the Sandy Hook Elementary School shooting. She's a licensed marriage and family therapist. Also with me is Shanae Johnson, a mother of 4. In 2003, Shanae's fiance was murdered in New York while Shanae was 2 months pregnant with her now 18-year-old son. And in 2010, Shanae's 17-year-old son, Kedrick, was murdered in Queens, New York, just weeks before his high school graduation. She's now a volunteer with Moms Demand Action and founder of the Kedrick Ali Murrow Jr. Foundation. All right, ladies, thank you for coming and having this incredibly tough conversation with me. Nelba, I want to begin with you. The funerals for the Uvalde children and the 2 teachers, the funerals begin today, 2 of them. You're a family and marriage counselor, therapist. You've also been through exactly this before. What do those families need from us right now?
I would say to give them space. To give them time to follow their lead, to not push them to make statements or decisions that, are in perhaps other people's best interest, but maybe not their own. Follow their space, respect their space, follow their lead, give them time.
Nelba, I really wanted to talk to you because I think you're an incredibly powerful speaker on the issue of school shootings, guns, on healing and recovering and what families can do and how they recover. But you also agreed to do this interview alongside Shanae, because part of the reason is, Shanae, the violence that you've experienced doesn't get covered in the same way. You lost your fiance and you lost your son, and you told a powerful story about taking one of your other sons to the ER and being asked by the doctor, because he got into had an accident at karate, and the doctor asked how many kids you had, and you said in that moment you struggled to answer whether you had 3 or 4 kids because you had lost one, and you didn't want to say 4 and then have to give their ages. You didn't want to say 3 because then it would feel like you're erasing his memory. Tell me what it is like to be the mother of somebody who's died from gun violence that doesn't get this sort of attention.
It's difficult, and I've worked so hard to continue to keep Kedrick's life and legacy alive. He was a great kid. He was murdered a few weeks before his high school graduation. And I decided that if no one else is going to keep his memory alive, I will.
Does it sometimes feel to you that some gun deaths in this country are more tragic, quote unquote tragic, than others? And if so, what do you think that says about us and how we do things here?
Well, that's the thing, is not, the tragedies aren't different to the families. Every day there are more than 100+ people who are murdered by gun violence. And so today there'll be more families suffering, and more coverage or less coverage doesn't take that pain away, doesn't take the suffering away from the families.
What do you want to see done about it? What is the fix right now, according to you, Shanae?
That we all work together, that the issue doesn't get lost in the issue. Kedrick was a real person, I think amidst the politics, we forget that sometimes. But if we continue to work together and have unity in the Senate, and they could pass stronger gun laws, and also on the local level, if we work together, we can prevent so many tragedies from happening.
We all want to work together. We see nothing but inaction when it comes from our lawmakers. They're trying right now, but there's a real partisan divide. Some people out there, Nelba, you say have contacted you, and they'll say to you, you need to show the autopsy pictures of your child from after the shooting. I guess with the idea that if you show Americans and show lawmakers just how bad it is, how horrible it is, that will spur them to action. What do you think when you get those requests?
It has been an incredibly difficult week. The fever pitch cry for the images and the photos of the children has never been this high. I need America to hold on to hope. I need America to commit to action. and not demand of families who are suffering, but we need to learn to be a people who ask more of the powerful and less of those hurting. Asking me for pictures right now is not what you need. It is a very disrespectful and damaging ask. Work in your gifts, in your skill sets, and demand action of your leaders. Demand action in your community, but do not ask me for those pictures. It has been an incredibly difficult week.
Are you okay?
Together with Shanae and all of the mothers who are standing, asking for the right things, we are going to be okay for our kids and for ourselves and for our families.
What about you, Shanae?
I wasn't okay this week. Just 2 weeks ago, I had to visit Kendrick's gravesite. 2 weeks ago was the tragic anniversary of his death, May 15th. So between that and the daily toll of gun violence in Buffalo and Uvalde, I wasn't okay. And I'm going to get comfortable with saying that I'm not okay all the time. You know, that I shouldn't just adjust to this. So no, I'm not okay. Am I coping? Yes, I am. I'm coping.
Are you hopeful? You say you're coping. Are you hopeful?
I'm very hopeful. I've been fighting for 12 years. I'm very, very hopeful. And I show that hope in my local community when I work with the youth in my community, because we're fighting for them, for their lives. So yes, I'm very hopeful.
Do you think that something will get done in Congress? Will there be enough outrage, enough of a sense that this has gone too far for there to be something happening on guns? And if it's just background checks, I mean, is that going to be enough to stop this sort of violence? Maybe it's enough to stop some violence, but is it enough to stop the sort of violence that we see not just at these schools, but on a daily basis in this country?
I think we need to vote them out. Our leaders who are putting profit over policy, who are caring more than their seats than human beings, then we should vote them out. Because more and more lives are at stake. Every day we are losing people. Our children are dying. And that's more important. Your policy is more important than the lives of our young Americans.